vote someone off the Hip Dad Radio Island every time we do one of these. It's because your taste isn't
Whoever
good
didn't get any votes, you know. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Hip Dad Radio's Record Listening Club. My name's Matt. We got Luke, Reed, Doug, James, and Jet. We're all here, and we're doing newer albums this week, or I guess this month. I guess these albums are at least a year, or in the past year these came out. So yeah, hopefully you guys are playing along with us and listening to these records. I think, like and subscribe if you haven't done that already. Tell your friends. That's good. I think we should just get right into it, right?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Who wants to go first?
I'm happy to talk about the Maria's album first.
Maria's album.
Do it.
Yeah. So the album I picked for this month was Cinema by the Marias. They're sort of like an indie alt band out of LA. This is their first studio length album, which is super exciting. So this is kind of their debut on the scene. They've had some music and some singles and stuff before this, but I've got some notes here. Let's see. Yeah, so I really like this album for a couple of reasons. Mainly because it's just right up my alley, in terms of sound. Sort of driving bass lines, kind of ethereal vocals, sort of a softer sort of synth sound going on to it. But there are a couple of things on this album I really wanted to call out. I really like the thematic portion of this album. So I thought that they constructed sort of a theme for this album really, really well. Like that intro track that had that nice string theme going on that then gets like called back to a couple of times throughout the album. Like the end of The Mice Inside this room has a little bit of the same like orchestral theme at the very end, which is pretty cool. So I like the fact that they went a long way to sort of constructing a holistic sound. And then I thought the last track, Talk to Her, was really interesting. It had that sort of like poetic recounting of being like a sheep or whatever. It's kind of a little kind of dreamy, a little kind of, out there. I thought I did a really good job closing out the album. But yeah, would love to hear what you guys thought.
So I've been listening to the Marias for a while. They were like, when I first started getting like really into music, definitely one of the first bands that came up. They were pretty popular, like kind of a bedroom pop vibe, and it was very vocal centric. And I liked the songs for a little bit, but the more I explored the subgenre, the less and less I listened to them. And I think it was because I didn't think the instruments were fleshed out enough. And I haven't listened to them in a while until you sent me this album. I actually didn't even know this album came out. I paid so little attention to them. And I thought this album was kind of like an amalgamation of everybody's talents for the first time. Like it always felt like the focus of the music was the voice and the lyrics. And this album was way more complete for me.
I also really like this album. A few standout tracks for me. Calling You Back, that second track, the like first full one. I just love the sort of like distorted guitars and kind of griminess in it. But all around, great album. Really liked it.
Yeah, kind of similar to Reed. I knew a lot of the Marias' old stuff, like their first two EPs are really good, and I would say like really popular too. But yeah, I really enjoyed this album. I don't know if I like it as much as their old stuff, and like they had a couple singles that came out right before this album that I was really hoping that would make it to the actual album, but they didn't. So yeah, but it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was a solid album. I've always like known the Marias and like kind of like heard like you guys play them before here and there. But this is the first time like sitting down listening to a full record. I mean, have they been around a while? I I feel like they've been around a decent.
Yeah, since like they've been making music since like 2015, I think.
Oh wow, okay. But yeah,
which is crazy that like this is their first studio length album too. Like they must have just had a hard time getting a deal.
yeah. Well, I feel like, I mean, it's such a sound that I feel like could be like really commercial. Like, you know, a lot of people would listen to it. You know, it's a very modern sounding thing. I got a lot of vibes of Men I Trust with it, but less like indie and like more modern kind of R&B kind of sounding stuff. But I really liked it. I wasn't like mind blown, but I thought it was a good listen. You know.
Yeah, I really liked it too. I love the Latin influences in the songs. That was just a cool twist to that kind of more bedroom poppy sound. But her voice is great. Whoever the singer is, I don't know this band, so I didn't know them at all. But whatever. I'm just gonna call her Maria because they're the Marias, right? They're all called Maria. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. But I really liked her voice. It kind of reminded me of Billie Eilish, actually. And I liked kind of that sound. Yeah, I listened to this album on an airplane, and it was great for that. So just thought I'd throw that in there.
That would be a great airplane listening album. I have this like vision in my head of listening to this album while like driving at nighttime.
Yeah.
And like just kind of cruising down the highway, right?
Yeah, like it was dark, and there was like one like person's reading light on, so it's kind of a cool image, you know.
Yeah.
Very
Well,
artsy.
the Spanish influences really stood out to me too. Like the song I've got it written down here, where all the verses are in Spanish, but the chorus is in English. Little by Little, like one of the stronger songs on the album, and you know half the words I couldn't even understand. It makes me want to learn Spanish, just like Shakira. Cool. Yeah. That's all I had to say about the Marias. I give this album, you know, probably a solid 7, solid 8 out of 10. For me, I mean, it's just a sound that really resonates with me. And I'm going to keep coming back to it. I hadn't really listened to the Marias a whole lot before this, and I'm going to pay close attention to them from now on. Who else wants to go?
Kind of popcorn it.
Oh, shit. Popcorn Jet.
Oh, all right. You know what? I knew you were gonna pick me. I could tell the future, so I'm ready. Cool. So yeah, my album that I picked for this time was called "The Long and Short of It" by Quickly. Quickly is like he's like a guy. He's like one person, and he makes like bedroom pop, and he's about I think I read he's 21 years old, so he's kind of a young guy. He's like, you know, Gen Z, I would say, right? Would that put him in Gen Z? Yeah. So yeah, you definitely feel young listening to this. Feel like a Gen Zer. Okay, but I really like this album. I think something that makes it really stand out from a lot of bedroom pop, or just kind of the different rhythms on each song. It really helps the album just kind of flow, and each song sound different, but at the same time it flows really well together and it kind of has a great pace to it. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. This is kind of a newer genre for me, I would say, kind of stepping out a little bit here, but I just really liked the way that the rhythms complemented the different sounds and how instrumental it was. So yeah, passing it off.
I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really complex, and I've never heard of this group before, or this guy, this regular old guy, as you described him. But anyway, I thought I was like pretty entertained. I mean, I feel like I need to listen to it more because I only was able to listen to it once. But the way you described it is like bedroom pop. Like it's weird. Like on Apple Music, it says it's like electronic music, and I guess it is. But it feels like it has a lot of jazz elements to it, and like they have like real drums and like bass lines, and I don't know, I was really grooving to it, and every song felt really unique to me. It was exciting for me. I don't know, I feel like kind of like looking ahead, I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but I'm looking at the whose pick was the Dawn FM?
That was me.
Oh, it was you. Oh, okay. Okay, anyway. I feel like that's kind of what I wanted more out of Dawn FM. Kind of a little more experimentation or like surprises. But anyway, we'll talk more about that later.
I think that album's a little bit different from this one, but
I agree. I know, but I was just put that in my notes when I was listening back to back. But anyway, whatever. I'll talk about it later. All good.
I really like this one though. I kind of got the vibe that it was like hip hop sort of beats, like a lot of old Tom Misch, like Beat Tape 1 and Beat Tape 2. Yeah, I thought it was really, really great. I really like this one a lot. And I hadn't heard of Quickly before. I think the vocal performance was like kind of in some parts a little more like subdued. It did feel like bedroom pop, so I can see why you make that distinction there. But he gets groovy in some parts of this album. So I'm like looking forward to some other stuff, or maybe like collaborative projects too. Because I think like these sort of musicians are so great when they like match up with another great musician, whether that's vocals or instrumentation. So it was good.
I would love to piggyback off of what you're saying on the Tom Misch relation, because listening to this album, there's a lot of production styles, I feel like. And when I say production styles, I don't know exactly how he produced it, but as far as the beats go, a lot of overlapping with Tom Misch, a lot of like Kenny beat techniques, and a lot of the Count too. Like I follow the Count on Instagram, and he plays all like the raw samples of everything he makes, and he also sells his sample packages. And I'm almost positive that this album uses sample packages from the Count. It comes together really well. I put it on in the background while I was like doing things, and at first I was like, that's what this music is. Like, it's good background music. Like, I don't mind. And then every once in a while it would hit me with something different, and I would have to stop and like rewind and listen to it again. And it captured me when I thought maybe it wouldn't, but I really enjoyed the listen.
So Reed, when you say like Kenny Beats techniques, like what are you talking about?
There's just like different kind of things that Kenny Beats talks about on his YouTube channel, about how to manipulate snare sounds and add background noise in certain parts, that where most people, young people specifically, when they're making beats, like the background noise is it's a synth or it's something else that like adds to the melody, but there's a lot of just noise in the back in this, and I don't think it's misplaced noise. I think it's there for a reason.
Interesting. I hadn't picked up on that. I'll listen to it again and see if I can.
Yeah. Also, highly encourage everybody to go watch some Kenny Beats stuff on YouTube. He really gives people a big deep dive into music production.
That's cool. Yeah, I wanted to just echo basically what Reed and Matt were saying, or Reed and Deb were saying with like Tom Misch. I got a lot of like strong sort of driving rhythms with like a lot of sort of musical complexity to it. That was at times a little challenging to focus on if like you get halfway 2/3 through the album. I kind of got I found myself getting a little tired at the like towards the end, but it doesn't mean it's like any less like interesting to listen to. And now that I know what to listen to in terms of like the background noise, I'm going to try and do that again and see if I can get something cool out of it.
Yeah, I'll jump in, and I guess I'll be the fourth person to make the Tom Misch comparison. But I was definitely digging this album too. I only got to give it like 1 or 2 listens before this, so I definitely will be going back to it to give it some more attention. But I found it very calming, and I liked all the instrumentation on it. Yeah, great.
I think it definitely requires a few listens. I don't think I got it the first time I listened to it either. And every time I listen to it, I like kind of find something new. It's kind of one of those albums. So a nice little piece of music. About 40 minutes long, not too bad. Won't take up too much of your day. Go out, walk the dog.
What would you rate it though?
Oh man, what I'd rate it? I'd rate it. I'm gonna give it an 8.1 out of 10.
Where does it stand
it's
for you?
It's very good. I wouldn't say it's like excellent, like 9 range, but it's very good. And again, it's a little more complex, so it's more meaty, which I do like. But
where does it fall for you when it comes down to like this, or like the Avalanches album we listened to last time, or like the Yeti Seasons album?
I think I would like this I like this more than the Avalanche's album, probably more than Yeti Season 2, just because it's a little bit more approachable than that one. Yeah, I probably like it more. I think it's just more. It does different things, I think, and there's always it's an album to put on when you have some thinking to do, I would say, but also are able to focus and do other things. So it's strange to compare the other ones because I think they're going for different moods there. Yeah, I don't know if that was a good answer, but I like this one. I've enjoyed it. The more I listen to it, the more I enjoy it. So I'm just gonna keep going.
Never stop listening to it, and you'll just always enjoy it more.
That's right. That's right.
All right, who's next?
Popcorn.
Let's go, Matt Kennett. I want to talk Tobacco City.
What up? All right, cool. Thank you, Matt. So I chose Tobacco City USA by Tobacco City. Been really into these guys. They're a Chicago band. They're a country band. When picking this album, I'm not sure if this is like everybody's kind of cup of tea because, you know, country's kind of like a little, whoa there, partner. But I don't know. I don't think this album is like a huge like artistic statement or anything. It's just kind of like a good vibe kind of album. I think they do a good job. Doug and I saw them a couple weeks ago at the Hideout. I've known about the band for like a while. Like they've always had like one song out, and they finally put out this album, and I think it delivers. I think it's just a really good, solid country album. Like a good. It's not like it's kind of like soft a lot of the time, like a lot of like pedal steel guitar playing along with like beautiful vocals. Some songs that stick out to me. Well, first off, Blue Raspberry is like an amazing song. That's the song I always knew. But AA Blues is kind of like a little fun tune. And Neon Light, I think is super cool because it has this like cool guitar, like chugging kind of sound, like along with it. Yeah, and they also make like a little references to like Chicago throughout the album. They like talk about like Humboldt Park, Lagoon. I don't know. I just think it's like a little fun little Chicago country album that came out here in 2021. Love to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, definitely not like an album that you'd imagine coming out of Chicago. Like if you played this album for me and we're like, oh yeah, this came out of Montana, I'd be like, oh yeah, of course. I thought this album came straight out of almost like the 60s or 70s, right? Like Hank Williams, like Johnny Cash, in the sense of like it had a lot more sort of a traditional country feel to it. Not at all, you know, what I imagine to be modern country. Not that I listen to a whole lot of modern country anyway, but no, I enjoyed this album. Definitely a good vibe. Like you said, Matt. I wanted more like, I mean, this is just my own personal taste coming out. I wanted a little bit more like rock influence. I wanted a little bit more sort of, you know, energetic thing going on to it.
Yeah, the album is very like calming. It's not like a, you know, in your face thing. But yeah, I agree.
Doesn't have to be.
But hey, it's their first album. I think they could like do something like that. You know, who knows?
Oh, this is their first album. Okay.
Yeah, first.
The album sounds like campfire music, like something you would play when you're camping, like right before you're about to go to bed. You know, when like the sun's going down.
You're roasting marshmallows.
Yeah. I liked it for that purpose. Like I think it's a great like kind of late night, like going to bed kind of music, kind of album. What made me think that I kind of like got like sleepy like towards the end. I was like, oh, but it was very like comfortable. I was like being tucked in, you know, by my partners on the trail.
I definitely got that vibe too. I'm really glad I got a chance to like see them live because that's kind of how I experienced the album. So that was really dope. It is very laid back music, more subdued. But yeah, I mean, I like it. I'm always looking for more country to kind of throw into my like Dougie Pooley, like modern country artists sort of playlist. So this will definitely get added to that. So thanks, Matt, for sharing it.
I got a question, which was what were the demographics of this show? Like what was the crowd like?
very hideout like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've been to the hideout.
Yeah.
The hideout has a lot of country music, actually. They always do country showcases, and yeah, I don't know.
Their venue's kind of perfect for it though, because they have like all these like twinkly lights and everything, and like the stage presence just like goes really well with that vibe of music.
Everyone always looks great on stage at the hideout. If
Yeah.
you're in Chicago and you've been to the hideout, you probably know what I'm saying.
Or if you're Jungle Green, you look great off the stage too.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a small room in the hideout, but it's nice. It's good. It was good to
Feels
be
big when you're in there, though. I love it. I haven't been back since COVID.
I haven't been at all.
You've never been to hideout?
Oh,
Nah.
Oh my god, we gotta go. We gotta
We
get
should have like a meet and greet with all the fans.
Yeah, we gotta bring all the fans.
Hideout. All the viewers. If you're watching this video, meet us at the hideout this weekend.
Whenever.
Table like
February 6th, 7 p.m.
we'll sign the leftover Hip Dad Radio shirts that we have that we still need to sell.
All smalls.
All our small fans. Yeah.
Petite fans.
Oh gosh.
I will say, Matt, not my cup of tea.
I didn't think it would be.
Yeah, I think you knew it wouldn't be. I just had a really tough time getting into it. Country music in general kind of just doesn't vibe with me, like even the old stuff. But you know, it's just not for me. I will say this: I've never heard any Tobacco City until I listened to this album, and I had really high hopes with such a really cool name.
Good. Well,
And they were dashed.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll just jump in. Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, well, did you? Yeah, you already said something, right?
No, I was just gonna say, like Reed, not my usual cup of tea, probably, but I did dig it. Definitely echo the sleepy kind of lazy vibes, but like it's still comfortable. And I really enjoyed some of the Chicago references, like I think it's on LSD where he says he's like swimming in the Humboldt Park Lagoon, which is kind of a fun little thing peppered in there.
Chicago references, you're like, oh heck yeah.
I mean, LSD like as a acronym is a reference, you know.
Oh.
Still drive.
Oh, not anymore though. It's called like
No.
It's also still called the Sears Tower.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I mean,
you are right now, right?
Yeah, right. Yes, I'm actually. It's weird. Like those buildings are taller behind me, but it's like a optical illusion. I'm actually on the top floor at Sears Tower.
The Hip Dad Satellite Studio.
That's right. But yeah, I mean, in general, like I think it's just a really good like Chicago release, and I think if you are able to see Tobacco City live, definitely go see it. It's just a really fun show to see. I don't think they're reinventing the wheel. I think it's their first album. It's just a cool like country thing, and I'd probably give it like a 7.5. I think it's cool. And now I got to switch it up. I want to talk about Dawn FM.
We've been leading to this all night.
Which I know I was shitting on Dawn FM, but you know what? I actually have a lot of good things to say. And some just things to say.
So do I. Yeah. So Dawn FM by The Weeknd is The Weeknd's 5th studio album. And it's my favorite of all of his albums. I really enjoyed my listen. I've listened to this album already like 4 or 5 times. And while I think the first half is like really strong and like the flow is really great, the second half does have some really hit songs here and there too. It doesn't flow as perfectly. But I thought it was great. I love that Jim Carrey is like the DJ for the radio show, and he's kind of leading you through. I don't know if it's like the apocalypse is coming or if he's just kind of referencing it. Maybe that's just like the theme of like the show that he's DJing for The Weeknd, I guess. But yeah, I really like that aspect too. That was really fucking cool. Some songs that I liked, Gasoline is like I guess technically the first track. Like Jim Carrey kind of introduces that. there's a really cool transition between How Do I Make You Love Me and Take My Breath. How Do I Make You Love Me also is produced by Swedish House Mafia. So you can hear like these, there's a lot of house influences in this. There's a lot of like disco influences, of course, like pop too. So it's really all over the place. Let's see, what else? Is There Someone Else to Starry Eyes? There's also a really cool seamless transition between those songs. And Less Than Zero as well is like a really hype song that I really, really enjoy. But yeah, I really like it. I'm all for The Weeknd, like trying to go for this like pop icon Michael Jackson sort of thing that he's really been trying to do for like the last like 3 albums. And I think it's really, really, really cool. Also, I think this album, if it's not the first, it's supposed to be the second in a trilogy. So I'm like really looking forward to the last one because I thought the album before this, I'm forgetting the name of it.
After Hours.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I'm looking forward to like how he's gonna tie it up. Because there's some parts of this album that's really depressing. So maybe that's just The Weeknd. But he makes it sound really, really beautiful. So yeah, I'm curious what you guys think.
The Weeknd just kind of strikes me as a depressed dude all around. So I'm not super surprised about that.
I just want to give him a hug.
He's just like his personal hell is walking through that mirror maze from the Super Bowl show just forever.
I want to say I love his Super Bowl show. I thought it was really cool.
Really well done, right? But yeah, Doug, I like the album as well. I definitely agree the second half was weaker. I want to call out one specific thing though, which was that Tyler, the creator's voice on Here We Go Again, weak sauce. I wanted, like, you just see that he had like 14 bars, 16 bars, like it was not even. It was tiny. I wanted more. Give me more, Weeknd.
Do agree with that.
I also really liked this album. It definitely, I didn't feel like any song kind of stood out to me as like a like bam, that's a radio single, in the same way that like After Hours had like a couple songs like Blinding Lights that were just like made for pop top charts. But all in all, the whole thing, like you mentioned a bunch of the transitions, it just flows really well together. And he's got a lot of really cool, I didn't know that was Jim Carrey in there. And he's got a lot of really cool segments with that. Like I loved the outro with Phantom Regret by Jim. It's like just a fun kind of weird, trippy, dreamy outro, similar to the outro on the Maria's album in that regard.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Keep going.
No, go ahead.
No, yeah, there was actually a lyric from that I pulled. And I'm going to read it for you guys because I thought it was cool. So this is Jim Carrey. It's on the last song called Phantom Regret. Excuse me, too. I have like a stuffy nose situation going here. But he says, heaven is for those who let go of regret. And if you have to wait to hear when you're not, and you have to wait here when you're not all there yet. But you could be there by the end of this song where the Weeknd's so good and he plays all week long. Bang a gong, get it on.
Tight.
Yeah, I like that. I like the I know we listened to T-Rex for the last time, so I like the little bang a gong reference. I thought that was kind of cool. I don't know, maybe Jim Carrey knew that we were just going to review this album, and yeah,
I told him about it actually. I was like, hey, listen, can you swing a bang a gong reference in there?
Damn, so don't spoil the fans next time, James. It's got to be a surprise.
I am having a really tough time deciding how I feel about this album. Overall good, I will say. I think one of my biggest gripes with pop artists is I don't think they put albums together very well. And I get it, because at the end of the day, like, you got to create hits, and that's their music, and that's fine. But this album was really well thought out. Even though I thought the second half wasn't great, it was well thought out. but it was still like the composition of the music, like front to back, wasn't all there for me. Like I probably won't listen to this album front to back ever again, but I will listen to a lot of these songs a lot. And I'm okay with that being it for me, and like still like attributing the like these songs to this album and calling it a good album. I can't, it's a little too long for me. It's just a little too long for me.
I feel very similar to the way Reed feels about it. So I think the way it's formatted is really cool. Like I love the whole radio vibe, Dawn FM thing going on with it. It reminds me of Mac DeMarco's Rock and Roll Nightclub, with where you'd like to have the radio DJ introducing all the tracks. I just feel like it's such a cool like concept, and I feel like, you know, as like a big pop artist, like I feel like I wanted him to make like in the actual music and instrumentation, and like I wanted more like, I guess, just more risks and like more interesting things going on in them. I feel like he's just he's trying to make a bunch of pop songs, like every single song sometimes. And sometimes I'm just kind of like, okay, here's another pop song, here's another one. And it kind of makes me feel like, all right, are you trying to make like a kind of an artistic statement kind of a thing? Or are you trying to make a bunch of like a big pop album? Which is like okay to do both, or just to do one or the other. I don't know.
But he's also like, if he's saying that like it's the second album in a trilogy, right? Like you can get experimental, you can get trying to like find a different thing to do in your music, right? And like connect it thematically that way.
Right.
Like I'm kind of right there with you, Matt. Like I wanted more. Like I want to see what the Weeknd has on the back burner from like 10 years ago. I don't want him to whip it out and just like put it on track.
Whoa, what was that crazy part of that song? Like I wanted more things like that. But I think at the same time, I think like poetically and like the lyrics and stuff are like really cool, and like all the little snippets they're not like just throwaway like somebody saying some goofy thing. It's like, oh well, that's a really interesting thing. I guess the theme of the album is like it's very kind of doom and gloom a little bit. Like he's like getting old or something, and he's like needs love or something. I don't really know.
I think that's supposed to be reflecting just like the pandemic and just like we've been in this loop and things like that. I that's what I think it is, but
yeah, I think Quincy Jones has a line in this too.
Yeah, he's got a whole skit in it actually. A Tale by Quincy. I was just looking at that one.
Oh, is that like where the old man talks or whatever?
Yeah, about like his mother and
that one. Yeah,
I like that skit.
Cool. Big Quincy Jones fan. But I mean, all in all, I thought it was a cool album, cool concept. I don't know. I just wanted a little bit more like something that would shock me, I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
I think a lot of you guys said what I was gonna say, but in terms of like shocking me, it was a lot more like psychedelic than I was expecting. Like especially that transition. That what was it? How do I make you love me to take my breath? That transition into there was like super psychedelic. That I thought that was pretty cool and pretty different from like what he had done before. I always like the Weeknd's hits. I don't really listen to his albums very much. I don't think I've listened to any of them front to back, but I really like his hits. And I really like the way this one flowed too. Going to the end, yeah. I mean, I think the end, the back half of the album isn't quite as strong, but it's a welcome mood shift. I was feeling a little like anxious. I think at the end of the first half of the album, so kind of like Nate, which is what he was going for. And it makes a lot of sense hearing that the album is about him getting older and kind of reaching that. There's a skit about like a light at the end of the tunnel, and then like once you get there, your anxieties are going to wash away and everything. And I took that to assume death. So I enjoyed it. I'm going to listen to it a couple more times. I was walking through the snow today while listening to it, and it was like kind of like the beat was like getting me going. I think there were some parts of the songs where the beats just kind of lasted a little bit long. It'd be like 30 seconds, 45 seconds of like just the beat, and I was like, okay, time to move on. There were a couple moments like that, but otherwise I like the album.
What would you rate this album, Doug?
Should I rate it?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think taking into account what you guys said, I totally agree with that. I I think there are a few risks in there that I wanted him to do more, like vocal range wise. Like he kind of just went what he normally does, you know, he sings like the Weeknd. I think, let's see. I think I'd probably give this, I liked it a lot. And that's the thing. Like I like this a lot more than any other Weeknd album. So I'm gonna say like a 7.5 out of 10. And maybe that'll go up after more listens, but yeah. I am popcorning to Luke, the
Hell yeah.
new Hotties album.
Yeah. So
Talk about the Hotties.
The Illuminati Hotties. Let Me Do One More is what the album's called. This is a album that I found like late last year that I really got into, and I'm really interested to see what you guys thought on it. All in all, it's like a very kind of all over the place record. Like you've got songs like Pool Hopping, which is kind of like a fun, bouncy summer song, like talking about like ice cream and pools and stuff like that, which then jumps into Moo Ayaya, which is probably my favorite song on the album, and it's just kind of all over the place and punky and a little goofy. Like in the chorus, she's got lines where like one line is like politically charged, like the DNC is playing dirty, and then the very next line is like, I'm so sad I can't do laundry. And after that, there's like a slow song, Need, which is pretty solid, but not necessarily my favorite. And then another slow song called Threatening Each Other, Recapitalism, which I love that one a lot. The chorus is like all about how pharmacies sell, like the corner store is selling like spit bottled up for profit is the line. And it's just kind of a goofy, but still like mellow, sad song. And then there's UVVP, which is got this guy Buck Meek on it, who I'm not very familiar with, but he's got a fun sort of like Western outro, and there's a lot of groovy steel guitar on the song. And then there's like Joni, what's it called? Joni LA's #1 health goth, which is probably the like kind of grimy, angriest song on the album if I had to categorize it. And it's more of like all about like jealousy of this other girl, Joni, and like how she's got a cool leather jacket and like she probably doesn't even pay attention to you, things like that. All in all, really cool, kind of all over the place album. I'd never heard of the Illuminati Hotties before this. I love the band name. I think it's hilarious. And I'm really interested to see what you guys think on it.
I thought it was really good. Very, very good. I like this one a lot. I actually appreciated like the slow moments in the album, because some of the slow songs didn't really stay slow. They kind of had a lot of tempo changes. But yeah, they sound like, I don't know how long they've been playing together, like this band, but they sound like really, really well together. And like I love like the punky and like thrashiness to the album. Like it's a vibe. It's a good, like maybe vibe's the wrong word. But yeah, that's very specific vibe.
I know exactly what that vibe is, by the way. It is the intro to a Scooby-Doo reboot. I don't know if you guys know the one I'm talking about, but it is that like early 2000s like pop rock kind of sound that made me laugh when I first heard that track on like the first, I think it's Pool Hopping, like the first track, which just sounds like Cartoon Network when we were growing up. You know what I'm
saying? I get that. Are you referencing What's New Scooby-Doo?
Yes, that's the one. I couldn't put a name on it.
Wow.
Never thought I'd hear that on this. I love that.
I do see what you're saying there, though, James. I do agree with you.
Oh man, I'm wrong.
In my head, and I'm like, there is some similarities between them.
So I definitely felt the same era that you felt, James, but it felt a little more like college rock.
Yeah, that's
not a lot, but like it felt kind
rock.
of like in the same vein. But I really liked this album. It was just a really simple, angsty, sad girl album. And like honestly, when I was listening to the whole thing, all I could think of was I really want to see these people live. Like this music sounds like it translates really well live and is really conducive for like a really energetic performance. A lot like how Twins music translates live. I got that same energy. I'm a little scared that the people at this show would just be like a lot of high school girls. Um, I feel like that's the demographic, but I really, really liked listening to this album, and I will actually am going to follow them on Instagram to see when they come into Chicago.
Yeah, I think for me, like the album as a whole was a little too all over the place for me personally, but there were a lot of songs, a lot of tracks on in various points of the album that I really liked. Like I think like the Joni's whatever that song was, really dig that song. I thought that was a lot of fun. I mean, of course, I'm a huge fan of like the Velveteers and Stonefield and stuff, like a lot of that sort of like more hardcore like female punk kind of stuff. So that really resonated with me. But I thought this album was really interesting in terms of like the number of genres that they tried to tackle. So like kudos to them for just going all out on it.
Yeah, I loved how all over the place this one was. I think that's what makes it shine. I think it makes it exciting. I feel like it's like you said, the college rock thing, like girls, fun, college rock, but like can go anywhere. It made it exciting. It kind of reminded me of the band Heinz, if you guys know Heinz. Kind of just a similar kind of girl group. Yeah, just really fun. And Buck Meek, shout out to Buck Meek, who's on that one track. I love Buck Meek. I'm a big fan. And I think, I don't know, he just has a lot of like kind of, he has a little country twang to it, but he doesn't he have like a spoken word on that track too?
Yeah, it's sort of like he's like an old, worn out traveler trying to like get one last dance with his girl.
Yeah. Yeah, it was funny. But yeah.
Buck Meek, write us.
I'm excited to listen to it more. I definitely want to listen to it more.
Yeah, I'm gonna be listening to this again. It was just a really fun listen. The kind of diversity of the genres here and the moods that a lot of these songs are going for really help it flow and help it just be not all like one punk song. It flowed really well. I really liked it. Just a cool album. The range of moods really helped the listenability. Lyrically, it felt very personal. There was like a lot of songs about like our insecurity and that kind of stuff. So shouts to Illuminati, the Hottie, for bearing her soul to us on this record here. So yeah, I've actually had this album on my list for a while and just haven't really got around to it. I had heard Pool Hopping and then like wanted to come back to it. So glad that this was on the list. I like it a lot.
Yeah, dope choice, Luke.
Hell yeah. Should I give it a rating then? Everyone get their words in? Cool. I'd probably give this a 9 out of 10, honestly. This is probably one of my favorite albums of 2021. I don't think it made it on my Hip Dad Radio favorite album list, but like 3 different sets of people asked me for a favorite album list and I gave them a different answer every time. And it definitely made it on a couple of those.
Hell yeah.
And for our next person, I'm going to pick Reed.
Well, you didn't really have a choice, Luke.
I mean, I could have gone with Mason or Lauren.
I actually got the album with me.
Ooh.
Get your shit together, guys.
Hot.
This is Parties to End by Same Eyes. This band was introduced to me by my friend Dana. It's actually the lead singer is like one of her best friends from college, Alex Hughes, who I have not yet had the pleasure to meet, but I have many questions for him about the writing of this album. I really, really love this album. It was on my top 10 of the year. It didn't make it to my Hip Dad Radio top 4. But this album for me is Talking Heads meets Part-Time. Alex sings like David Byrne in like the same kind of vein. And I really love the way that it's mixed. The synth shines so hard on this album. And I really am curious to hear them play live because there's a lot of layering. So I don't know like how much of that layer would translate live. Like when we went to go see Sports live, there were certainly like parts of the songs that couldn't be played because there were only so many people that could only make it to the final production of the album. And I fear that that might be the same case for this album live, but I could be wrong. They could just be very, very talented. Two songs I absolutely love is Forever and Rush Cutter. Forever is just a vibe, and the synth in Rush Cutter with like the chime synth is so good, and it just keeps on like building and building and building on itself. I don't think there was any song on this album I didn't like. Yeah, I like this. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, what is a chime synth exactly?
It's just I don't know the word for it, but like the synth sounds like chimes.
Because I was gonna follow up on what you said, Reed, about the synths shining on this album, and I was actually gonna say that for me, this album was Part-Time meets LCD Sound System, who I feel like is a natural progression from the Talking Heads. So like I'm right there with you, man. Like I thought that a lot of the bass lines, a lot of the like synth sounds on this album really reminded me of something from like LCD Sound System, but with that sort of kind of, it's not ethereal, but sort of kind of high up sort of synth sound coming out of it that also sort of kind of brings it all together. I really like this album as well. And I only got a chance to give it maybe 1 or 1.5 listens, but I'm definitely gonna be going back to it.
It seemed like a James listen for sure.
Yeah, totally.
That's what I was thinking.
Reminded me a lot of Roosevelt too, actually, who I've been listening to a lot more recently.
Yes.
Yeah, this album gave me a lot of like new wave vibes, and I know you made the comments, the comparison to Part-Time, but it almost sounds like old new wave that's just modern.
Like the most spot on new wave album it could be. Like literally new wave. It's like
they just call old new wave wave.
Yeah, they just,
Yes.
yeah. This is
Yeah,
new wave. The other stuff that was old.
That was just wave.
I was just wave at this
This
point.
is called modern wave. I'm sorry. No, I really like this one. I found myself like I would listen to a track and I would go back and re-listen to it because this is such a short album. So like I wanted more. And I think that's my only downside of this. Like I just want more of the album. Like I would be happy if there was double the amount of songs on there. And if it was closer to an hour. Because I think it flows really well. I like the sound. I'm looking. Part-Time is finally back. I don't know if anyone knows this, but his music is back on streaming services.
Oh, we noticed.
It's still a little taboo to like listen to it. So now I'm just like, oh, I'll just listen to these guys instead.
These guys know. Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing about the music scene these days is that there's always someone who you can find who's not canceled.
Yeah, this album, I fell in love with it when Dana first brought it over and we listened to it, but I didn't listen to it since then. And then I listened to it for this, and I was like, man, this is amazing. I like there aren't a lot of bands that just hit the nail, on the head of like new wave, but this band does it. I don't know. I just think every song was amazing too. It reminded me of kind of like those classic new wave bands like Talking Heads, like Human League. Just like, yeah, really good stuff. I don't know what else to say about it really. I can't wait to listen to more of it.
Yeah, I loved this album a lot too. I definitely picked up on the like David Byrne style of vocalization that Alex Hughes brings to the game. I loved all the synth work on it. It was just all around great. Really good album.
Oh, one thing I want to add before I forget. I think what makes this different than like Part-Time's music, I think the rhythm and like the percussion, it really stands out on this album. And it makes it really dancey, and just something I just think really stands out. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I love that kind of the new wave put to a dance beat. Was that I don't know a lot of Part-Time. Was that something that they did? Kind of that sound?
Like the synth in like the 80s kind of
yeah.
With the voice, the very
Yeah, it's cool. I really like the album. It's so short. It's like a half hour. It's like just a quick hit of energy. Yeah, I don't have much to say. It hits the ear very. It's very. You listen to it and you're like, oh yeah, this is it, baby, and it's kind of vibe. It's a vibe. I like it a lot.
It's that lizard part of your brain.
I listened to this like pretty quickly around the time I listened to Dawn FM, and that was kind of an interesting experience. It just felt like this was much more of a tribute to the old kind of new wave, combined with that dance side. So it was a cool listen. I liked it a lot.
First, there's a lot of great albums this week.
Yeah.
Really, I think we all knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. Well, Reed's got to rate it real quick.
I think we all have the same problem with this album, in that it's not long enough.
They're coming out with a new album.
Problem to have, but it's something like
we want more.
We want more. I wish there were like 10 or 12 songs on this album. And I wish there was a little more guitar. But other than that, really, really good album. It's hard for me to find an album where I love every song. So I would give this probably an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10.
Doug in the chat, just play it twice in a row every time you listen to it.
Not a bad idea, Doug.
You could do that, or you could double up the songs, like play them twice in a row.
Cue it twice.
Yeah.
Sweet,
All right. Well, cool. We got through all the albums. This is the time of the video where we all get to vote on which album we liked best this time. And don't forget, if you can also vote in the listener poll, which is in the description of the video. It'll take you to our website where there'll be a little poll. You can choose which one you like the best. And you can even comment in the comment section like, hey, that album sucked, or that album rocked, or like, yo, James had a crazy thing to say right at this point, or something. I don't know. But yeah.
You could also like and subscribe.
And you could.
That too.
It'd be pretty sick. But all right, let's get to the point where we're voting. Who feels really strongly about something?
Are we allowed to vote for our own album?
I was about to ask.
No, you can't do
Okay,
that.
that's fair.
Of course not.
I'd say that the album I enjoyed the most was Luke's, the Illuminati Hotties. Yeah, that was just an album that I came back to a couple more times than I did other albums, simply because I had a lot of fun listening to it. Was able to rock out, was able to cry, whatever I needed in the day, that album had something for me.
I think I'm probably gonna vote for the Same Eyes album, Parties to the End. I loved that album. Loved dancing at my desk.
Yeah, I'm gonna vote for the Same Eyes as well. I didn't have a lot to say about it, but I just think it just hit it for me. It was just a really fun listen, and I'm excited about this band.
I'm gonna vote for the Cinema album by the Marias. That one just really spoke to me, and was just kind of it was different from what I've listened to in such a long time that it just really, I felt myself coming back to it a few times. So yeah, I'm gonna put a vote up for the Marias.
Cool. I guess I'm the tiebreaker again.
Or the tie maker.
Choose wisely.
Really shake things up here. I love the power. No, I think my favorite this week or this month, I don't know. Yeah, month is Illuminati Hotties. That's just, I want more of that, and I really hope they release another album soon. So yeah.
You and me both.
Heck yeah, guys.
All right.
Yeah. Excited to see what the listeners say.
I agree. But for us, the winner is Illuminati Hotties. Congrats, Luke. Your music taste is just unmatched.
You have the best music taste of them.
Unrivaled.
How you do it? That was beautiful.
Can we vote someone off the Hip Dad Radio Island every time we do one of these? It's because your taste is
whoever didn't get any votes, Well, let's say goodbye now.
Should
All
we
right.
sign off?
Yeah, it
let's
sounds
sign
like
out
we gotta
now.
sign
James
off.
gotta go. Hey guys,
Later, guys.
don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.
Later.